This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in MetaQuest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The MetaQuest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we got another edition of Monday Morning News.
Never a dull moment.
Come on, man. There's always so much to talk about in the world of VR, in the world of, Quest gaming.
That's what I love about the VR news also is because it didn't exist a week ago, and then the news drops and boom, some changing stuff happens.
I kind of subscribe to the mentality that there's not a dull day in the world of VR. Between game drops, between updates, between rumors, there's always something fun happening.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, depending on how deep you want to go, there's always some fun stuff. But before I go deep into this, Stratus, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Come on, man. We go right into business. That's not right. It's always good to ask how somebody's doing first, right?
I'm doing good.
Come on.
No, we're always anxious to get started.
Anyway. Yeah, so let's roll right into it. One of the big news that I saw drop this last week, a long-term experimental feature in the Quest 2. For those that don't know, if you go into your settings section of the Quest 2, you can see the list of different experimental features that you can kind of toggle on and off.
Which are fun to screw with for sure.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see some there, and then 2 weeks later it won't be there, and then it's back. They're experimental features. But one that's been in there for a while is 120 hertz that you could turn on. Now, it was in experimental for a while because not many games supported it. And, they were still figuring it out, but it's very well ironed out these days. A lot of games support it. Not all, but a lot of games do. And now it's moving out of the experimental feature, and it's going to kind of become the Quest standard.
Yeah, which gives a good opportunity for the new games coming out to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and, what happens if a game doesn't support it? Nothing.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
No, because I think I read Beat Saber's not going to... I don't think it does support it.
Yeah,
nor will it.
It's a game-by-game basis,
but the option will be there.
Yeah, if a developer wants to take advantage of it, they can. So it's cool that it's moving out of the experimental feature because, to my understanding, before, if a game did support it, in order to utilize it, you would have to go into the experimental.
You would have to go and have it turned on in your settings.
In our little vocal circle of people who heavily follow VR, that might be a very well-known thing, but the reality is the majority of users don't follow VR like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people are actually going to go clicking through the settings and find experimental features, know what 120 hertz is, so...
And what's cool is it in theory, we'll say to me everything new in VR is in theory, it should make motion sickness less common than by taking away some of the screen flicker that, you might catch and your brain might respond to it. So that's a positive.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's always cool when things go out of experimental to a full-blown feature. They introduced it.
Yeah, it works.
They got over the humps. Not everything works beautiful right at first, so they got over the humps, and now, boom, it's moving to the default feature. So that's really cool.
And I do have questions about the battery life extension.
Yes.
Using the 120 hertz. I mean, well, mathematically, you're pulling more from the...
That was something that would happen before. If you turn on 120 hertz, your battery life theoretically would go less. I mean, go down quicker.
Quicker, yeah.
That's especially troublesome for the OGs of their Quest 2, who's not, and I'm not getting a new Quest 2 every 2 months. It's you can see the battery life.
What I think they're banking on, though, is that everyone who's really into VR uses, backup batteries anyways. Mm-hmm. So they're probably just waited enough time for everybody to make sure they had access to a backup battery.
Yeah, well, what I'm getting at is it feels like my battery goes quicker these days than it used to.
Oh, yeah, dude. I get if we do, let's say, 2 rounds of Pop 1, and then almost any game after that,
30, 40 minutes of it.
yeah, usually the 40-minute mark, I'm like, uh-oh.
There was even one time where it didn't come up yet, and you were like, any minute now I'm screwed. And then like a second later, boop, you got the low battery warning.
And I just play it till it dries dead. You know? I don't wait, 10 minutes left. Screw that. I'm playing till it dies.
Plugging in the external battery, play until that dies, and then boom.
Sometimes we'll have the triple packs of different batteries sitting around ready to go.
So while this is overall an extremely positive update, I'm curious how it will affect the OG Quest 2 users whose maybe their battery isn't as strong as it was on day one.
Yeah,
maybe it won't even be noticeable.
If that's the biggest issue though, then I guess it's a win. Because I'll just have to use backup battery anyway, so
buy an extra one. And then, another cool piece of news that dropped, a very hyped game on PC VR was ported over to the MetaQuest and finally released.
Mm-hmm.
We've played it a bit. It's called Into the Radius.
Holy crap.
We do plan on having a podcast review of this game.
I'll just say it right now. Sometimes we jump into games and we're like, all right, how much time do you think it's going to take?
1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah. And this one, oh my God. It's like there's a learning curve that I have to physically get over.
It's a deep gameplay. In terms of gameplay, it's a survival horror game, and like even just the reloading in the game,
the gun, everything about the gun.
Mechanics.
I won't say too much about it, but I'll say anything you see if you see a bullet laying on the ground, pick it up, put it in a little.
And it's cool how things sort in your backpack. Everything about the game is
crazy.
Cool. The graphics are amazing. It's got a great story, great gameplay. It's just probably going to be a little bit till we're able to fully do a review.
We got to really be able to finish this.
And every type of game is different. Like there's some games that, Pop 1, it's not a game you beat. So it's like, you don't need to beat it to review it. You just have to put in enough hours. A game like Into the Radius that's story-based, I feel like it's same with Red Matter.
Yeah. You
have to beat it if you're going to review it. It's not right to otherwise.
Well, yeah, otherwise it's just a demo.
Yeah, you're not
could have just done a demo review.
Yeah, you're kind of giving an early impressions like we did with that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, there's been some games that I've played where, if you had done like, if you had a mindset of, well, I'll play a game for 30, 40 minutes and then I'll review based on what I played. I've had games that I didn't really enjoy at the start, but they ended so well that I was like, oh my God, thank God that I played this game.
And vice versa. I've had games that in the middle of the game, I'm loving. But by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, you saw where this game got weak. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important for these type of games. Finish it and then review. So,
but I'd recommend it, at this point, with no review.
If you like survival horror games,
I would just run out and just get it. And then maybe by the time we're ready to review it, you'll already be at that same point, and then you'll appreciate it even more.
Yeah. But just don't think that we're docking this game.
But holy crap. Yeah, this game was good.
Yeah, we're playing it. It's just, we always talk about our mythical list of games that we're chipping away at. This is one of the bigger ones on it, so stay tuned for that. But we are playing. And then Contractors just dropped an update. That's a first-person shooter we love.
This is a great update.
Yeah, they expanded their mod kit. I've been seeing a lot of really cool Halo mods. They updated their physics, so it's Contractors is a game that every like 6 months or so, it seems like an extremely better game.
Yeah, it's almost like a makeover. Like someone comes into your room and rearranges your furniture and repaints the walls. Yeah, it's like you're getting something good every time there's an update with them.
We had first played Contractors before we started the podcast, and we even said this when we reviewed the game. Our first impression of it, we were like, yeah, I'm all set. I don't need this in my life. But I mean, geez, by the time we reviewed it and the game had gone through those updates, we gave it a great score, and I still love it. I think that has one of the best zombie modes that I've ever played.
Yeah, I'll admit, it's my go-to. You and I will go there if we want to play. And there's other games similar to it, but they just seem to have, I don't know, I like the whole upgrading. And
it has that it feel. They found the magic with it. So they have a great zombies mode. They have great PvP modes. They have some other co-op missions besides the zombies. And their mod kit has always been great. It's one of the games that you don't have to download mods from a computer or anything. Like, you literally open up the game, go in the main menu, click mods, and then download mods right from there. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's integrated.
So that's hugely convenient for people who don't want to sideload and stuff like that. And now they've expanded that to be even more expansive mods. Man, Contractors is one to keep an eye on for a while.
It's going to be I realized after hearing about this update, I'm like, we're going to have to go back to this at some point because there's going to be more coming.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if I remember, I think you weren't the biggest fan of their hitboxes at the time we reviewed it. But who knows? In 6 months, that could be better. It's like that's the type of game it is.
Yeah, no, I believe they're one of the developers that when I see a substantial update, I have to go play it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, there's a big argument in VR about full body or floating hands, but they give both options. You can either do floating hands in Contractors, or you can do the full arms and the full body and stuff. So, I don't know. Just hats off to the Contractors team.
That's such a weak, real argument, though.
Oh,
I mean, if I'm in combat, I'm not looking at my arm ever.
Yeah, so it's funny. There's a lot of people who are so deep in the forest of VR that they can't see the trees. Like, there's so much infighting in VR about the dumbest things.
The shit that shouldn't matter it depends on the game. I mean, don't get it twisted. If it's a
100%.
story-based game, then I want my arms.
Mm-hmm.
But is my world going to end if I have really nice-looking hands? No, because...
With no arms and they're just floating. And, like, a big debate is legs or no legs. Like, do you want trackable legs? Like, so in the Quest 2, you only have your controllers. There's no way to track the legs.
Yeah.
But some games do with, like, code
a big setup and a nice PC.
But no, there's games that pull it off, but there's always a debate of, no legs or legs and arms, floating hand. Like, these are just debates for people who I think are deep in the forest. I think as a consumer, if it feels good, it feels good. Like, it really doesn't matter. There's not one or the other. Like you said, depends on the genre.
Yeah, it depends on the game.
Depends on the execution of either method. Either method can work. I don't think it's like this thing that we need to...
It's not a deal killer if the game is well and it's, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I mean, Pop 1, they have the arms.
Yeah, and there's plenty of games that don't, and both work great. It depends on how it's done. Yeah, there's so much. It's just funny that the things that people who are passionate about VR get caught on. Like,
people want perfection.
Yeah, but I think we could spend 100 hours arguing over arms or no arms, and
Legs,
it's not
no
going to...
legs. I do appreciate when I look down and my character's running and I see the legs, but again, that's the game.
Yeah, again, depends totally on the game, too. It's like... I don't know. I think that those hours spent debating that could probably be spent on other things that are actually going to change. Like,
if I was a developer, I would have a fighting game, and then this is awesome. And you'd look down and you'd see your legs because that's what people want, and you'd have nice arms and nice hands to hold your weapons. And if you want to run forward and look at your feet, you can. But I would make sure that every now and then your shoe would untie, and if you didn't tie it, your character will trip and fall. Ugh. Maybe drop the weapons. Then you'd have to tie your shoe for 10 seconds, exposing you to because you want those feet.
And the way it would go is like the tying the shoe is the time that's part of the game you put the most effort in. It's like the most finely tuned part, and the best physics and everything on it.
It'd just be funny.
Speaking of full arms and legs, I mean, this isn't anything news. It wasn't even on my agenda to talk about, but you said look down and you see legs in fighting game, and it popped in my head. Game we've been playing a lot that we're working on a review of. Just want to give a big shout out to it, is Dragon Fist VR. That's a game that does the full body thing, right? And they do it great. That game is comically
ridiculously good in the funniest ways.
But you know what's... I've been seeing social media videos of it for some time, but people doing, the mixed reality full body tracking and stuff, and it's like, I see a lot of potential. But I think if I sent somebody a video of me playing the game, they'd be like, oh, that's a janky mess. That's not fun. But then you go and you play it. From the opening tutorial they have you do, where they have you like breaking
boards, cement.
There's so many characters, and so we're gonna be reviewing that one. I
can't wait to review that. Oh
my god,
because I'm having a blast,
dude. Yeah, I get in full character with it too. Like I get.
How can you not?
I talk shit. Hand out of the way. I slap them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So
stay tuned for that one. Though,
yeah, that's a great example of a fighting game that does the full body.
That is a very, very expensive App Lab game.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think we're going to see it on... I mean, like, to me, that's a no-brainer for the official store someday, but let's see.
Yeah, and I'm not even upset at the cost, to be honest with you, at the end of the day.
No, I remember when I told you the cost, and then we loaded in, you were like, okay, it makes sense. It makes 100% sense now.
Yep.
All right, but again, that wasn't even like a news item or anything like that. That just kind of came to mind. I wanted to give that little shout-out.
Thought of funny feet.
Yeah, you say full-body fighting, there's only one. So the next piece of news to talk about... The Meta Connect conference was announced for October 11th.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's virtual, so it's not in person or anything like that. It's going to be a one-day thing, probably like they did last year.
I'm cool with that.
last year was probably like what, like a 1 or 2 hour
I wish
keynote
I
presentation.
wish they would do it on like a Saturday or.
Yeah, not a Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, they're treating it like a business meeting.
Yeah,
that we're allowed to.
The problem is, for the people like us that aren't full time yet, we're not going to be able to get that off from work to do live coverage and everything like that. But hey, hopefully one day when
next year.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to get our Patreon page going.
Well, I'm sure we'll update on our Discord as it's going down.
Yeah,
if they don't do it amongst themselves quicker than you and I could.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do a live stream during it, but probably not this year. But interestingly enough, on the Joe Rogan Experience, we had talked about this the other week. Zuckerberg said that they were going to be announcing the release of their headset at the Quest Connect, with it dropping in October. So, I mean, stay tuned for some new headset news. And, I mean, this is kind of the make it or break it for GTA in my brain. I know I'm probably being a little, like, extremist or over dramatic, but, like, in my eyes, like, if I don't hear GTA news, like, I'm probably assuming it's not going to happen.
I'm banking everything that it's happening, only because we were talking a little off show about them pulling their staff off of Red Dead Redemption 2 online. So that, all the signals, if they're diverting all their talent and resources to, the next actual GTA game, that's probably not going to come out for like another year. But I don't know. I don't like to feed the rumors, and I don't start them, but there was a lot of reoccurring people saying that they believe it's coming at the end of 22 or early 23.
I would love that, and I'd love to get news.
But that's how rocks start. It's just like
historically
they could release it tomorrow.
Historically, that's how the Quest or Meta does things with their releases too.
Sucker punch you.
Yeah, they'll go, hey, that happened with Blade and Sorcery Nomad. That happened with so many games. So
no, but I'm hoping in that we get some news on it, because that one, if that drops and we don't hear nothing and there's still no news, like,
yeah, I don't mean to sound dramatic about it either.
It happens though.
I mean, like, we talked about it in our Thief Simulator review. We fired up Thief Simulator, started driving, and we're like, oh man, it's actually this is gonna be hard to pull off.
I'm trying to think of just how big the game's gonna have to be.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like a 40 gigger,
50. Yeah, easy.
I could see that.
Oh man, but if it, and I don't want to sound dramatic. There's a chance we don't get any news this year, then we get news next year on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, dude, they have to drop something about it.
To me, if there's radio silence on GTA, I'm getting nervous. I understand why people are nervous about Splinter Cell, because Splinter Cell was announced in 2019 or 2020, yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed is probably the one I'm the most nervous about, which I thought that was a weird game to go with VR anyway, because like so much of the gameplay mechanics is these parkour and the stealth, and it just seems like it'd be very hard to pull off.
You're gonna have to. I mean, think about it. If they pull off the mechanics well enough. I mean, that's why I'm kind of excited for it, but I'm not believing that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it's a post-it note in some guy's office somewhere. Like, oh yeah, remember we were gonna do that.
And I used to love the Assassin's Creed games.
Dude, I have tons of them.
Ezio is one of my favorite game characters of all time.
I want to jump from the top of something into the hay pit in VR.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm not saying that as a hater. I'm just saying like, oh wow, that's like a lot of complex game mechanics to pull off.
One of our absolute favorite games outside VR. So why not have that? I'm not the one who said that they were building it. They did.
Now on the opposite end, imagine if at this Quest conference we get headset news.
Mm-hmm.
GTA, Splinter Cell, and Assassin's Creed news. Like, oh my god, that would be the biggest Quest Connect ever.
So yeah, I'm sure it'll be Cambria.
Yeah, Cambria seems like a lock, just based off of what was said at the Rogan episode, at the JRE podcast.
I think Quest 2 users are going to be more interested in when's the next gaming headset specific coming out.
Yeah, because Cambria,
you can get a Cambria and it'll be a little better, but it's not a gaming headset.
No, it seems primarily based for mixed reality and work uses. The mixed reality and the AR aspects are really cool, because like I love the pass through on the Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest limitation is that it's black and white,
not color.
Yeah, the color pass through is going to allow so many cool AR experiences. It'll be like Tilt 5. Like I'm obsessed with.
It's not going to be cheap either.
No. The rumors is like 1,200,
yeah,
1,500.
I keep thinking. I was hoping 800,
but
maybe 800 for.
I've heard substantially more than 800 is the rumor.
Yeah,
so to me, substantially more than 800 is 12 to 15.
It'll be more than $1,000 and less than $3,000.
Yeah, that's a fair
Yeah.
range.
Current market value.
So October 11th though, coming quick. So I mean, stay tuned for that. And then one last thing of news, and then we'll go into our next thing where we're going to talk a little bit about our 2022 Ruff Talk VR MetaQuest Game Awards, which is exciting times coming ahead. But, you know, it looks like Meta and Qualcomm just announced a partnership to make custom chips for next-gen headsets, which Qualcomm makes the current generation of mobile processing VR chips, the Snapdragon XR2, but it's not like Quest, it's not Meta specific, so that's going to put Meta at such a huge advantage for the next generation headsets.
Yeah, just how soon we get that next gen.
Mm-hmm. Which, you know, like, Apple has a lot of fanboys. Like, people who like Apple, you know?
I got an iPhone.
I got an iPhone. I don't have an Apple Watch or
I
a
don't have a
tablet or
Mac.
anything.
No.
I don't have a Mac, but I got an iPhone. Like, you know, there's certain products Apple does really good. But what the Apple fanboys would probably say, if I were to role play as somebody who loves Apple, they would probably say that, well, Apple does all their own stuff in-house, and they'll make a processing chip that's equivalent. But yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical of Apple's whole position in VR, their actual commitment to it. Like, I feel like every time that every 6 months there's rumors about the Apple headset. Nothing comes.
I think sometimes companies like to put the word out that they're working on something without actually doing any conceptual work on it.
I mean, there's been a lot of work done on it by all rumors. You know, they just did some patents for a couple different names, but like, I don't know. Again, it's just every 6 months I feel like it's supposed to be news, and then
their price point would be stupid.
Yeah, the rumor was what, $3,000, and then
$3,000, and if you don't carry some sort of insurance policy on this thing,
for $3,000
you're screwed.
Well, hey, think of it. You know, what's the first thing anybody does with their iPhone? They buy a case for it. You know, I don't see these cases for. I'm curious how this goes, and I mean, like, Apple just had their equivalent of the, I guess you could say, the Quest Connect. They did they're just highlighting a bunch of different new upcoming Apple products, and there was no news about AR, no news about VR headset. Nope. And at the end, they did like a 30-second teaser with like this chick on about to enter Subway, and then it fizzled, and there was some music, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, look at that! They gave us a VR teaser." But the reality is,
it has nothing to do with that.
It's a TV show that they own, that they make. Yeah. Like, that's a character in one of their TV shows with a theme song.
That really started with this one person rolling deep with the whole theory of, and it just snowballed.
I saw a lot of people saying it kind of simultaneously. Well, it's not stupid. What it is like when you're really excited for something, when you like really hope, you'll take any glimpse of. It's like
you can find anything and anything doing that.
Yeah. Hey, look, everybody likes to read a conspiracy theory or two, but everybody's seen somebody very deep in conspiracy theories who's able to look into the sky and see the way the stars line up, and now it makes this true. So it's like,
let's say that was the case. How many people did they think were actually going to see that and take VR out of that clip? Very few.
Yeah, I think that they were probably like, that's what people thought. Like, they're probably like, what in the world?
That's people who had waited. I mean, I thought they were going to mention something about VR for sure. I probably would have lost money on it, and then at the end of it, just realizing, wow, they really aren't. I don't know how well they're committed to the cause. It's not cheap either, man. I mean,
no. And like, there's been rumors throughout their whole development of issues with, fans, issues with overheating.
Yeah, the overheating was the last real major one I heard.
And I see people like posting rumors that like, oh, I tried one of the prototype headsets and it's really next level. And
I'm sure it is for $3,000. It better be.
Mm-hmm. And like,
I mean,
perhaps there are prototypes that exist. Perhaps people have actually tried it or not.
I'm sure if someone gave me a $10,000 headset and a high-end PC to plug into, my mind would be blown.
Mm-hmm.
But, are the masses going to get to play that? Absolutely not. No, it's going to be the same thing even if they pull it off. It's like, it's a lot of bank, man.
Yeah. Look, I'm not an Apple hater.
I love my iPhone.
Like, yeah, I love my iPhone. I think that there's certain things that Apple does do arguably the best, like the iPhone. I just don't think every single product Apple's ever made and every single product line dominates each respective field You know, PCs are
And
still here.
I think if they didn't try to come out of the gate so strong with what they, self put on the table for what they're going to try to accomplish, they might have already done it.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's an expectation too with an Apple product, whether it's, a freaking laptop or a cell phone or a tablet, that it's going to work, and it's going to work good.
Well, here's the thing that I will say, as somebody who just said all this, if Apple does release something and says on February 2nd, it's come 2023, we're dropping it.
It'll be good.
It's going to be fucking good. It's going to be expensive, but next generation is going to be better, and they'll slowly lower their cost point. And, I get it. Apple's really
I'd be anxious, and I'd be real anxious to try it when it comes out, though. I mean, should it come out? But right now, I'm not having a lot of faith in it.
No, it's just every time that I hear all these rumors that we're going to get news, and then there's not about anything, not just this,
that
anything.
Was the time to announce it.
And a year ago, we were talking that there's supposed to be news.
Yeah.
And there wasn't. And I'm guessing in a year, we're going to be talking how there actually is real news coming from Apple. Maybe in like 2024, we'll see something. I hope I'm wrong, though, because, hey, the more headsets on the market, the better. And Apple's a damn good company, so if it does come, it'll be good. But let's see. I don't know. I didn't look at that 30-second clip and go, that's...
No, didn't feel that.
It's a TV show, people. All right. Nonetheless, so I think that about wraps up on some news. Like I said, something really fun I wanted to talk about. For those new listeners, last year we did our first ever, it's going to be annual, our Ruff Talk VR MetaQuest Game Award show. And I know somebody's going to ask, well, what happens when the MetaQuest isn't here in 10 years and it's the next headset? Then we'll make it that headset Game Award show. But what we're doing today, we're going to talk about the categories that we have available this year. I think last year we only did like 5 or 6 categories. It was real basic. This year we have a couple more, just a couple more. So we'll read through the categories. I will say, though, the award show is going to drop December 30th, 2022. So very end of the year. We're putting together nominations. We're filling it all in. But if you hear a category that you want and you didn't hear it mentioned today, there's still time. Shoot us an email at rufftalkvr@gmail.com. Go on our Discord. Go on our subreddit. Post, comment, send us emails. Go on our website. Contact us, whatever. So let us know. But for the 2022 Ruff Talk VR MetaQuest Game Award show, the categories are the first one, the obvious, Game of the Year. So pretty straightforward. I think I know who you're going to petition for on that.
Keep going, man. This is the list.
So we got Game of the Year. We got Game Studio of the Year as well. That's going to be a tough one this year, too. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
These are all hard ones.
Dude, we made our life pretty difficult. But then we also got App Lab Game of the Year. We have Art App of the Year, which is, I don't think we're going to be able to do that one every year, but this year in specific, there's been some really good art games to drop. Then we also got DLC of the Year for those games that have continued to put out great content. We have Sports Game of the Year. We have Strategy Game of the Year. We have Publisher of the Year. We have App Lab Graduate of the Year, because towards the end of the year this year, we've seen like 5 or 6 different games, at least just at the end of the year, pump over to the official store. So awesome there. We have VR Port of the Year. So games that were either flat screen and came over to VR, or were PC VR, came over the Quest. Just existing games that got ported over to the Quest 2. We have Flight Game of the Year, because we've gotten a good handful of those. Multiplayer Game of the Year. Game Storyline of the Year. And then also the last one, Best Updated Game of the Year. So
those are brutal, dude.
Dude, we're in for some work. Now, if you can think of any categories that weren't on there, and like I said, you want to let us know, shoot us a contact and let us know. I mean, can't guarantee we can add every single one, but I'm always open to feedback, man.
True.
Come on. So, pretty straightforward stuff on this week. I think that just about covered the news. I can't really think of any other news. I don't want to like spoil any nominations we're thinking about in terms of, the different.
I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, like I
said, I just said it's a pretty brutal list.
Yeah, I think if somebody listens to the last, handful, we'll say the last 30 episodes, they might have a good idea of your game of the year. But even then, man, it's...
I mean...
There's a lot of different factors, and one person doesn't decide this.
But there's still time. And like I said, I'm the belief that come December, there's going to be something dropping, and we'll see how it holds up. But
yeah, we'll probably announce the official nominations at the start of December around then. Just
90% of that list is a mental struggle for me.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, I like that we do it at the end of the year, because great Into the Radius just dropped, right? I mean, come on. That's a great game itself. So with a great storyline. So it's like, imagine we did this in April.
We can't.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited. Stay tuned for when we announce the official nominations. And then more importantly, stay tuned for December 30th for the full show.
Who won?
Come on, man. That's the fun. And there's a lot of cool stuff we want to do this year. As such, we are looking for sponsors for the podcast. Any VR companies, game developers, anything like that. Just to help make it a better show. There's things that we want to do, like send out actual trophies and stuff like that.
You got some celebrities coming on too, don't you?
hey, don't start rumors or anything. That's not at all in the works at all one bit. But, we want to make it a better show, but we can't sit here and spend, thousands sending out trophies on our own and spend everything out of pocket to make it the best we can. So, we're looking for some sponsors. We have multiple different spots available. We have the option to sponsor the whole show itself, which there's multiple spots available for that. Or we also have the option, which only has one sponsor, exclusively for it, but you can sponsor an individual category. So if you wanted to sponsor, example, the game of the year, it would only be one sponsor for that, obviously. But, a couple different options, a couple different ways to do it. But if anybody is interested, shoot us an email. Again, rufftalkvr@gmail.com, and we'll gladly discuss that.
Sweet.
Anything else you wanted to talk today before we wrap this baby up, Stratus?
No, I'm good.
I'm excited for this award show, not
Yeah,
reward show.
Doing the news always just rehashes shit in my head, though, sometimes that I don't really want to go down, like the possibilities of certain games you really want to see not happening. But whatever. We'll see what happens next week.
Hey, I like the dimension that, the Quest comes. We get new headset news, we get Splinter Cell news, we get Assassin's Creed news, and we get GTA news. I'd be eating ice cream all night. So, all right, stay tuned for Wednesday. We got a fun review coming this week, and then maybe a little bonus on Friday too. Let's see about that. All right, check you guys out then.